Call the Reno Airport regular meeting to order on January 12th, 2021 at 5:32. Roll call, starting with Councilwoman Ryder.
Here. Trustee White.
Oh, yeah.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn.
Yep.
Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Chairman Robinson.
Yes. Move on to consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the Reno Airport Authority and will be acted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Approval of the minutes of the December 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the Reno Airport Authority. Number 2, approval of budget amendments from fiscal year 2020-2021 ending June 30th, 2021.
I'll make a motion we approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Got a motion, got a second. Start with Mr. Ryder.
Yes. Trustee White.
Yeah.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Chairman Robinson.
Yes. Motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Bobo.
Call the El Reno Recreational Authority regular meeting Tuesday, January 12th, 5:35. Roll call will start with Ms. Ryder.
Here. Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yeah.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes. Consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno Recreational Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item number 1, approval of minutes of the December 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the El Reno Recreational Authority. Number 2, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2020-2021 ending June 30th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We'll start with Ms. Ryder.
Yes. Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we adjourn, but Legali, Mr. Legali.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Where'd you sneak down there, Legali?
Oh, his glasses.
That's all right. I'm not used to Roger being up here this whole week. I know we're adjourned, but I'm gonna just kind of ask a question. You are scheduling, I know you are, because we talked about it, you are scheduling a meeting with the Recreation Board to go over those. Bob, remember we were talking about those deals? I think Kent's you got that together now, Kent.
Yeah, we'll schedule a meeting with the advisory board here probably before the first of the next month to present them with a comparison of fees and everything that we have out at the golf course, so that they can take a look at that and bring any recommendations back to you guys.
And that's something we've asked for a couple months ago. It took a long time to get the information, and really, Kent, you've done it. We're trying to get, you got a real good, we've got a solid deal, we probably more than we ever had before, of where we're at and where we were before. Is that correct?
Right. We tried to compare just about every golf course other than private country clubs in the state of Oklahoma,
Sure.
showing high and low fees, the averages, so you can compare them. Because, and like I said, we should always be reviewing everything. Doesn't mean that the action that the authority takes in the future is up to them.
Sure.
But you guys need to see that what we're doing out there is what needs to be done, and it's fair price, and it's a good resource for the community.
And we've just been adjusting on everything last year on
Right.
everything. So this is just I think it's the last thing that we had adjusted. We just couldn't get everything together at the time.
Yep.
Thank you, Kent. Okay, Bob. It's now 5:30, and I call the El Reno Hospital Authority regular meeting, Tuesday, January 12th, to order. Roll call start with Jensen.
Here.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn.
Yep.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Ryder. Here. Chairman White.
Yes, consent agenda. The following items be considered routine by the City of El Reno Hospital Authority and be acted with one motion. Should that motion be discussed or desired on any item, that item will be absolutely removed from the agenda, consent agenda at the time, and be considered separately. Number 1, approval of minutes of the December 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the El Reno City Hospital Authority. And number 2, approval of claims requesting trustee authorization for the period beginning the 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Motion.
I got a motion for
Second.
approval, second. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Yes. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
Chairman White?
Yes, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. It's now 5:39. I now call the El Reno Municipal Authority regular meeting of Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 at 5:30 here in our El Reno City Council chambers. I call the meeting to order. Roll call starts with Ryder.
Here. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Trustee Jensen?
Here.
Chairman White?
Yes. Move on to new business deletions, continuations to the agenda at this time. Are there any? If not, we'll move on to consent agenda. D, the following items be considered routine by the El Reno Municipal Authority and act with one motion. Should discussion be desired on that item will be absolutely removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, approval of minutes of December 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the El Reno Municipal Authority. Approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2021 ending June 30th, 21. Number three, approval of claims requiring trustee authorization for the period beginning December 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020. Anybody want to pull the items? Motion for approval?
Motion for approval.
I got a motion by Robinson, second by Ryder. Roll call vote start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Ryder? Yes. Chairman White?
Yes. All right, we'll go on to discussion items. E, number four, discussion consideration of possible action to award the bid for a purchase of an excavator. All right, if you all can turn to four, basically, and this is part of that bond money that we once again, I want to make sure that everybody understands we didn't do any, because of the budget, because of the sales tax and everything else, we're using the bond money to get some of the financial needs of the equipment and everything else. So this is part of the process. We've had the police cars, we've had the mowers. You're going to see a lot of this process coming up. But if you'll turn to page, item 4 on the back page there, basically we went out to bids on the excavator, and we have the excavator, and our job is to get the best bid, the best bid that applies to us. So the lowest bid was Central Power Systems. It was at $49,000, but it does not fit some of our other equipment, our bog attachments, and it's also smaller horsepower than what we currently have. So we really don't want to go backwards on that. And the next one would be the 50 OCT. It's way small for what we does. It does not fit our specs, and none of our attachments fit there. So the middle ground, which is about $1,000 more, is the 2021 DX35-5 US 21 long arm. And Kimmy, it has that long arm extension.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's,
And basically what it does is we can put our bobcats, and we have bobcats, but we can put our attachments on, not ours, but the city's. The city can't borrow ours, but the city has attachments, so we want to make sure that kind of fits. So we're just about $1,000. That's the best bid for us, is what we came to the conclusion.
Yeah.
Is there any questions? I make a motion we approve for the purchase of to Central Power Systems for $51,050.
second.
Who seconded it? Jensen?
At the lowest responsible.
At the lowest responsible spec bid. Yes, sir. I got a motion by Jensen, second
Second.
by Ballhorn. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Yes. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn?
Yes.
Trustee Jensen?
Yes.
Chairman White?
Yes. We'll move on to 5. Same deal. 5 is discussion consideration of possible action to award bid for the purchase of a highway wheeled excavator. Of course, I've been in construction all half my life, but the Great All is what it is. And the Great All is a wheeled vehicle that we go along, has about a 4-foot, 3.5-foot bucket, smooth deal, has rotation device that comes along. It helps us clean our ditches out. We've used it for years. The current one we have now is 20 years old. This item's been on the list for the last probably 3 years for purchase. We're spending more money on repair of the 20-year-old bucket, the 20-year-old piece of equipment that we've been using for years. So if you look on 5 and go back to the back, the bid tabulation, once again, same type principle. We had several bids, and the highest bid was $337, and the lowest bid was $172. The one that met the specs, the full rotation, which is important for us because we unload tin horns and dirt and use our wheel drivers, so we have to utilize that to get the scoops in there. The other two, the 175 and 165, did not meet the specs. We tried this one out. It's a demo. It's a 2019. It's a year older. The 18's a bigger unit, but we don't need that big a size. And we had it came down. They brought it in from Great All. Of course, Kirby Smith's the service operator, and they do a good job of service. But basically what we're asking you tonight is we're asking you for the best bids for the specs and the best financial bids and the best fit for our needs. A responsible bid would be to Kirby Smith for a 2019 Great All D152 4x2, and the amount is $200,000.
And that's still coming out of the bond money, correct?
Absolutely. It's coming out of bond money. Like I said, it's been on the purchase for about 3 years. We just haven't done it. We've been trying to kind of limp along. Well, we can't limp no more. I got a motion for approval.
Second.
Second by Robinson. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Yes. Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes.
Trustee Jensen.
Yes.
Chairman White.
Yes. We'll move on to 6, discussion, consideration, possible action, approve change order for project number L06 drainage improvements to serve Rogers and Moore Street in the amount of $1,131 to EMC Services and Delisle Chairman and the associated documents to sign. If you go to the other one, which would be 6, and look on the back there, Steve wrote it to me, but Matt and I were in conversations, we were in the whole day. But the bottom line is that because of COVID and everything else, the galvanized has been backed up, and not the other one,
The 14 gauge aluminized.
the 14 gauge aluminized has been backed up. So we figure, still waiting on the project for another $1,103. We can get the heavier gauge, which will last us 35 years instead of 20 years. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're going to the 14 gauge aluminized.
We're going to the 16 gauge.
16 gauge galvanized.
Well, 1,131 and have the pipe galvanized in 14 gauge. So that's what we're,
Sorry, yeah, 14 gauge.
That's what
is
we're
what's
going
in it.
with.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Confuse my gauges.
Galvanized.
14
I
What
just
I'm
wanted to make,
aluminized.
yeah.
Not the galvanized, but the aluminized.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Got me mixed
I
up.
just wanted to make sure.
I've gone over this 3 times today. I know what we're talking
We couldn't
about.
get the 16 gauge in
We
the
couldn't get the
aluminized.
16 gauge.
Right.
14 gauge is available.
We couldn't get the 16 gauge because of COVID. It wasn't ready for pre-made.
Right.
So we can go to the 14 gauge, and at that point in time, it'll last another 10 to 15 years.
And it gets
Don't
it-
ask any more questions.
And it
we're the
gets it done.
Tracy's got the motion.
I mean, we just approved $200,000 for a Great All, and we're arguing over $1,000 here. I got a motion by Ryder.
Second.
Second by Jensen. Roll call start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Ryder. Yes. Chairman White.
Yes, and you can ask questions. All right, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I got a motion by Ballhorn,
Second.
second by Robinson. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
We're adjourned. It's now 5:47. I now call the El Reno City Council meeting Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 to order. And before we start, would you all please stand? And Roger, would you mind, and no one's here for Ministerial Alliance, I don't see. Roger, would you mind standing and lead us in the word of the Lord?
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we pause in this busy day to be thankful for our country, for our state, and for our city. We're thankful for our leaders who give of their time to be here today. Lord, especially in these times of division within our nation, we pray that the loud voices that are being heard will not speak for the country. We pray for peace in our country. We pray for unity. We pray that we will remain one nation under God. We also ask your blessing on those afflicted with the virus and on those who are first responders in responding to it. We pray for successful dissemination of the vaccine. And as always, we pray for continued blessings in our community. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Be seated. All right, we'll move on to new business deletions, consent agenda at the time. Are there any? Not. The following item be considered routine by the El Reno City Council and act with one motion. Should discussion be on that item be removed from the consent agenda and it be considered separately. The city manager recommends that we approve of one motion. Number one, approval of minutes of the December 8th, 2020 regular meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number two, acknowledging the donations by the El Reno Fire Department for Marathon Oil Company in the amount of $1,000. And number three, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2021 and ending June 30th, 2021. This is the month I got to say 2 years. And then number four, approval of claims required council authorization for the period beginning December 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn.
Yes.
Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilman Ryder. Yes. Mayor White.
Yes. Before we go on audience participation, is Bridget here?
She is not, because the library doesn't close for another 10 minutes, and so she's down there working. When she comes in,
I thought that was
make
Bridget. But I can't see because of the mask. I thought I was about ready to recognize her. She doesn't. Okay. We'll move on. Audience participation. Anyone having item of business to be presented to the city council that does not appear on this agenda, please present to the council your comments. Come to the podium, state your name. You're requested to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Any item being presented must pertain to the city of El Reno business. Anyone? Ken, anybody out there? Okay. Anyone? Bueller? All right. We'll move on. F, discussion items. 5, discussion consideration possible action regarding presentation of the financial year ending June 30th, 2020 annual financial statements, independent auditor's report, and single audit report. Arledge, get on up here.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you guys hear me without do that?
Sure.
Okay. So my name is Jake Winkler. I'm the partner with Arledge and Associates out of Edmond, Oklahoma. I do want to say thank you guys for the opportunity to serve. El Reno's a home away from home for me. My father owned a business and operated it here for about 40 years, S&J Tire Store over on Choctaw. So Steve Winkler is my father. Please don't hold that against me. The audit report, nothing but good news. No modifications to the opinion. So we have an unmodified opinion in accordance with GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. No findings, no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, no compliance issues. So what I like to say is generally you guys have been making decisions off of your financials, off of information provided by your finance department according to the budget throughout the year. And you guys have been making good decisions with good information. So that's really all I can actually report. I don't have anything else to say because it's pretty much nothing but good news. So with that, I'll just yield to any questions.
Well, a couple. Are you all have any questions, Steve? Bob?
No.
Jimmy?
No.
And we met with the Arledge firm. We went over that, and I've requested to go. I think it's important that we all get together. But just a couple comments. I do want to point out that this has been a real good audit. We're one of the very first cities to get done as clean as we have, and I do want you to, because that's important.
Yeah, so you guys, for the first time, a lot of cities right now, we're having to kind of drag a little bit because they received CARES Act money, and the compliance supplement has not been issued for the CARES Act yet. You have received CARES Act money. You will have that single audit in the subsequent period. This year, though, you did have a single audit, which was kind of the first time that's happened in quite some time because you actually spent enough federal award money to qualify. However, no, again, if there was something to report on it, I would have told you about it. There's nothing to report. So, I think that's a real testament to the team that you have here, that something that is so unusual can be a little bit different in terms of the controls that have to be designed surrounding it, and as well as the costs that you have to monitor it according to the projects. that there was no compliance findings and there was no control deficiencies on something that was completely new. So really a great job by your team.
And I do want to point out one person, and I know you'll agree with me, and I know Frankie will too. Of course, I've known Frankie so long, I call him Frankie, now he wants to be called Frank. But Marcia has done a great job, and it's one of those things that we really appreciate all the things that Marcia's done, and I know she works real hard, and her and her team, let's give her a round of applause. I just don't think people realize how lucky, and Marcia, I'm in the circles, I'm in the Oklahoma Municipal League circles, and I get comments on Marcia from professionals, from Frankie and all the other staff that work. I'm very proud to have an employee. I know Mr. Sanage is also. It's a pleasure, and I was one of the city managers that worked on this wonderful budget, because it's not going to be near as good as that next year. But it was a tough year. But we really appreciate what she's done, and she's worked really hard for that. And I appreciate you all. And we've had a great relationship. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Frankie, come on up.
I apologize for my dress code. I kind of got caught off guard today, so.
I got a
know
text
it's-
message from Frank that said, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm dressed in jeans and a shirt. Get up here, Frank.
It's very comforting to recognize your CPA looks like he just walked in off the street. To follow what Arledge and Associates have said, you had a great audit, clean audit. Now, the results, financially, not so great. Probably no surprise that we had kind of a down year performance-wise, but mainly because of sales tax. So if you remember, what we kind of do every year is once we have the numbers and we know they're clean, I can calculate ratios and set some benchmarks and do an analysis, and then basically try to wrap it up into a scale. If someone were to ask you, how are we doing financially? And reduces it down to, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being great financial health and success, and a 0 being poor, where are we? Well, as you can kind of see, if you look maybe to page 5, you can kind of see what's happened over the last several years. Outside of the year we just finished, which was June 30, 20, we'd kind of been climbing, and it actually climbed all the way into about the mid-8s, which is extremely high. In fact, there's only one government in the United States, and they've only done it once, that's hit a 9 or above a 9. So an 8.4 was extremely high. You can kind of see that the condition and the health was getting better over a 3-year period. Well, that's because the lifeblood of our revenue stream, sales tax, was on a tear for those 3 years. Well, that tears over, with the oil and gas industry reduction, and with COVID, we took a pretty significant tumble. And so the sales tax took about a $9.7 million drop from comparable numbers of the prior fiscal year. Since that drives almost everything, that really drove your score down 2 points to a 6.4. So if 5 is satisfactory, obviously a 6.4 is still above satisfactory. We had a little bit of cushion to come down, but we can't afford another year where we have another 2-point drop. We get below a 5, then we're going to start seeing maybe cash flow issues. We're going to have to increase collections. We're going to have to cut back expense. Some of that's occurring right now to prevent that score from being dropped any further. So we kind of need to tread water for the rest of this year before I assume the economic recovery will kind of kick in as things continue to normalize a little bit and the economy opens back up. We start seeing some sales tax money. I don't think you're ever going to get back to pre-COVID oil and gas sales tax levels, but you're going to get back to pre-COVID without that. So I again, just kind of a tough little period of time that we're in right now. So as you can see, we kind of divvy up that score that's a 6.4 overall into 3 categories. One's called financial position, the other is called financial performance, and the other is called financial capability, or what we call sustainability. In other words, can we sustain this? And so as you look, the financial position is still in really good shape. We had built the financial position after years of good performance to a pretty high level.
Hang on. So you're saying that whoever was kind of helping with this deal had a built-in, we stuck to our our financial deal, we put money away for the rainy dam fund. Is that
You
correct?
absolutely put money away.
I like when people accuse people of not doing that, but that's not what we did.
And it's a good thing that we did put that money away.
Absolutely.
Because we had to pre-fund several things that we're still waiting on reimbursement from the U.S. federal government for. So, but in order to pre-fund something, you got to have cash. If you didn't have that cash, you can't pre-fund something, then you got to go borrow money, and then that trips up the financial condition as you go along when you start borrowing money for operational purposes. So we had built up the financial position to a good level, and it's still good. It's still above an 8 on position. But if you look at the next category, the performance, that's usually in the 8s also, is now in the 4s. Well, that's because basically of that monstrous sales tax decline that we experienced, again, because of the 2 issues related to both oil and gas and COVID. Our capability is still good, meaning that we have the ability to sustain this for a while. But what we can't sustain is consecutive years of drops where that score continues to stair-step down. So we're going to kind of have to stair-step up and down a little bit for a couple of years, I think, before we can recover. But I think we can recover as we manage the money. So the good thing about the audit is that all of these numbers get pulled from the audit, so that means that if it's clean and those numbers are reliable, then we can rely on this analysis. So I wasn't really going to go through all 20 pages. I mean, there's a page per ratio that we look at that you might have questions about on specific ones. So I'll just kind of cut it off where I'm at and then let you ask questions about any particular information or slides. And we'll
Any
go from
questions,
there.
Mr. Jensen? Any questions, Mr. Ballhorn? No. Any questions, Mr. Robinson? Any questions, Mr. Ryder? A couple questions I have, Frank. You know, we are concerned with the free fall, and I know that you and Mrs. Leck and Mr. Sandage and myself, in fact, and we're going to have some previous calls. We're trying to get a systematic plan together to sustain because we are eating up our reserve fund right now. And the bottom line is that we're eating it up pretty substantial. What I'm trying to accomplish right now, and we had some great conversations, Marcia, I feel like, Mr. Sandage, it helps me from my background in financial, for whether it be the construction industry or whatever else. It helps us get a handle on, Frank, what we can and can't do. So we're trying to think outside the box to minimize, to figure out, because we are eating that up very quickly. And we also budgeted for, don't forget, some of our money for the furloughs we took off. So we're still underneath that budget. So that is currently eating our budget up. So what I'm trying to accomplish right now is get indicators. That's what I've always kind of was taught. And indicators that I think we need to look at is how deep is the hole and where we're at on that ability. Now, I will tell you the problem that we are having is the governmental incidents we have. I'll say incidents, governmental, the God nature incidents we have. You know, we still have about 1.7 out on the tornado that we're trying to get back. We still have another 1.5 on the ice storm that we have out. And then I have contacted Mr. Paxton. He's helped us out on some. We're getting some $300,000 check, but it's a very slow go. And there also is some legislation that Mr. Paxton and I are working on a state deal, Frank, to help alleviate that and let the government, once we get the checks from the federal government, that they have a time release, that they have to release that money from the state to us. That's the problem. And I think that Mr. Paxton and I really kind of hit the head on this, and we're working with Steve over there at the state. And the bottom line is that that'll help us release that money, because I don't think they realize it is going to, at some point in time in the near future, put a cash flow problem on us if we cannot get that money.
Sure.
And I'm begging for that money. And once again, if we had the tornado 2 years ago, and we only got 1.7, I still got the 1.5 out. You know, my reserve fund now is cut more than half. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to, Frank, am I right? Am I
mean,
right
as
on
far
track?
as cash flow, that's absolutely correct. I mean, we might have $3-4 million committed to reserves, but $3 of the $4 million, it's not in cash. It's waiting reimbursement from someone else that who knows when we're going to get it.
So what we're trying to accomplish here is if we can get this deal, we can work with the different unions and everything else. I think we might be able to have some different out of the box. We're going to try to figure out how to work on the cash side of it, which, construction wise, that's all you do is work out your back pocket. But that's kind of how we might have to end up doing this at some point in time. Yeah. But I think we have some good communication. I appreciate everything. Sure. The only other things I think I have to highlight, everything else is way over in the greens on the 10s or whatever else. I think if you notice, Frank, we'll go real quick.
Sure.
If you go to 5, basically, You can see the decline that you discussed. And then 17 would be the one I want to kind of point out. And I'm pointing out the bad.
Sure.
And then when you leave, I'll give the good stuff to Ray.
I agree.
But if you look at 17, we're just way down on. I mean, you can see the trend.
Sure. Well, utilities, most people think utilities isn't going to take a hit, but technically the cash flow from utilities does, because a lot of governments stopped cutting off water. Therefore, it gave the utility holder the incentive to not pay the bill on time. So even though COVID doesn't really affect how much water or sewer somebody uses or sanitation services they use, it does affect cash flow. So we kind of have to keep an eye on whether or not we're collecting enough money cash flow wise to pay for those operations. And right now, as you said, if we're not collecting that cash from revenue, we got to go get the previous cash we collected from our reserves and substitute that in, because the cost of services don't decline like the revenue declines. We still have the same cost of service. So once we get back to solid footing, it's not so much balancing the budget to live on your means. We've also got to restore those reserve funds back to another level. So it's
Because
like
we have another budget we have
like
to
a
do.
double problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's right. Now, once the government's reimburse us for that money, that's going to help cash flow wise. That's going to help us out a lot. But that could be tomorrow, or it could be 6 months from now.
19,
I
page
don't
19,
know.
Frank.
It's been, it's been since May of 19
Oh, yeah.
that we've been waiting on the 1.7 reimbursement
Right.
from the feds on the tornado. So again, we'll, that's basically what that's talking about.
All right, let's turn to page 19.
Okay.
Same story.
Yep.
Sales tax, just wanted people to see that. And then we'll move on to 21. I think that's the last, revenue. I think we have our work cut out, and I think we can do it. It's just going to be it's going to be a tough couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that slice of pie that's there, that represents taxes over there, when that thing takes a hit, then the whole pie takes a hit.
Sure.
So it's just, it's not that complicated. It's pretty much driven by that, so.
Well, last thing,
we're
Frank,
good.
I can't imagine you not, you agree, Marcia. I mean, we've got a great team up here, whether it be Matt and myself and Marcia. We usually kind of get our little finance, well, I guess we're the finance team, but we've been bringing Kent and Ken. We've been bringing everybody in on this deal, trying to figure it out, but we appreciate all of the professional services of both of you.
You guys have a great staff. This works very smoothly now, it's like a well-oiled machine. So it's nice to see no findings. It's nice to see clean audits. And then I wish the numbers looked a little better, but we've had some good years, and I don't doubt we'll get back.
Thanks, Frank.
You bet.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, gentlemen, ladies? All right,
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
thanks. All right, we'll go on to 6. To conduct a public hearing considered by request of ABC's Nutrition LLC to reclassify the zoning district from rural agricultural A1 to automotive commercial CAR on the tract of approximately 9 acres located on the east side of Shepherd Avenue, north of Southwest 27th Street, Southwest Quarter, Southwest 4th, Section 15, Township 12, North, Range 7, west of the Indian Meridian in Canadian County, Oklahoma. I now consider this public hearing open. Okay, Dustin, where are you at? Oh, there you are. Come on up here and help me out with this a little bit. Okay, Dustin, this was presented to the Planning Commission,
That's correct.
and they had several questions back and forth, and I don't know if everybody was prepared to answer questions, or I think even after the fact, I think we were getting more information of concerns and everything else, so we're trying to kind of work it all out. But basically, it went to Planning Commission, and it failed at Planning Commission, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and it failed
6-0 with one abstention.
But since then, I've had some calls from some Planning Commission meeting members, and I know you've had one, I think, is that right?
That's correct.
Of concerns they didn't understand what was going on. Basically, what I'm going to kind of go with this. Jeremy, you're here representing ABC, and Wendy, Keith, you guys are here, the neighbors. And I think you're the only ones in the neighborhood. Is that right, Keith? Are you the only two here? I don't see. Okay. And then Mike, you guys are here with the land. I mean, okay. So make sure I got everybody recognized. So the bottom line is, you can see right here the proposed zoning, and basically, the Planning Commission, from the minutes I've read and from what I've discussed from staff, is their concern was that they weren't following the map correctly.
That's correct. And if we look at the next slide, it should show what the future land use map shows in that area. Which, if you notice, that is small lot, single family residential is shown for in that area.
Sure.
You can go back to the other one.
Now let's go back to the other one. So basically what they're trying to do is they're going to put storage there. The Draper family has storages in town. You've been here for 25, 30 years. We've had the storage unit, back behind Dan Deal, back behind Brahms, I guess you'd say. And then the other one, which is on 81, beside, well, where the tornado hit, right there between the hotel and the,
Dodge.
you guys didn't get as much damage as the other ones, did they?
Got lucky, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's storage. So that's what business you're in. You're wanting to do that. And I think Keith and Wendy's lived in that house. They got a great little setup. They got it set up for the grandkids and the kids. They've lived there forever. Got little goats in the back. So we're trying to figure out how to make this thing work. So we can't put restrictions on this because it's not a conditional use permit. So I can't
That's
put
correct.
restrictions on there. And we've looked at it every which way to Sunday to figure out how the best way to handle it is. I'm talking about my personal belief, being the mayor for 14 odd years. We've always had problems with pipe yards in that area. Tracy, I know you don't know anything about that, but that's where all those the area is. So the bottom line is, storages would be great there. And don't forget, they don't have to put houses there. You can come back for rezoning. There's a set of apartment that's low income housing right beside there that could absolutely flow to that deal. My point to you is it's a living document of what is going on. It's a living document of the land use agreement or the land use map that we came up with. And I think they were scared that they were going to vote against something. But even last month, we and they had the deal out there on Boynton Street, if you remember, with the people that were all here. That was zoned basically for R2, right?
It was zoned R2, but the map suggested large lot residential acreage.
And they wanted to shorten that up to R1, right?
To R2
R2.
to allow
R2, sorry,
to allow
R2.
that 1/2 acre lot.
To have like lots.
Was that location was directly adjacent to a spot on the map that was currently zoned R2, and it was also directly adjacent to locations on the map that had that same small lot single family designation.
So I talked to Jeremy. I worked with Jeremy and Greg the whole week, and I know Bart Weimer's got the plans drawn up and everything else. And I had the pleasure of going over to Wendy and Keith's house. And the main thing is, we're concerned with a couple of things. And you do not, don't forget, they don't have to submit. This is straight zoning. They don't have to submit a plan, but they didn't feel like there was a problem with that. They're into business. They wanted to make good neighbors with the law box. They wanted to show them kind of what they're doing, what they're planning on. But I did want to ensure, Wendy, once we do the straight zoning, we don't have conditions. There's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
So Keith and Wendy's concern, which is a liable concern, I had Dustin give them a copy of what's allowed in CAR. Well, CAR has a lot of different avenues, and Wendy said it's kind of scary, and I agree with her on some of those things it is. And then we also had her give a map, and I had Dustin give everybody a handout so you could look at it also, a map of A1, which is allowed there in A1.
It's coming. This is the commercial.
Okay. And
It printed out funny. I'm sorry about that.
okay. But anyway, the bottom line is that we're trying to get the less impact for the neighborhood being the law box right beside the process. They want to put storages there. That's what their business is. They want to do that. Mike wants to sell the land to them. We want to move on down the road. I think we found a solution, and we want to kind of run it past you. Really, the storage really shouldn't be in CAR. That is kind of a higher end. Does that make sense? There's a lot more allowances in CAR. It really should be in CR, and that would really accomplish what we're trying to say here. But since it's been published, we can't go ahead and go back right now at this time, and we'll visit with you here in a minute, Roger, because we just kind of popped this up. This just happened a couple hours ago. So what we would like to do is, if we change this zoning to CR, that would be more restrictive and protect the law box a lot better and give them better setbacks. of what they're doing within the zoning area and give them a little bit more protection. And really, the Drapers and Jeremy, Greg, you all are happy. You don't care because you're going to put storages here, so it doesn't matter. You just want to be in a zoning district that allows you to put storages in. Is that correct? So the bottom line is that I think if we put this in the CR, it would protect the neighbors a little bit more. It'll be a good transition fit, and you won't have anything else back behind there, neighborhood-wise, that we ever have to deal with, like pipe yards or low-income housing or whatever else. It'll be a mini storage place that would be a good buffer zone in that area, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Mayor White, to rephrase what you're saying just a little bit.
Yeah, come on.
The CAR zoning district is, you can debate it between it and CBD as whatever the least restrictive commercial zoning district is, but it's designed to be a highway commercial district. It's supposed to be on our corridors in, near Interstate 40 and those kinds of things for high impact businesses.
Since you got me, I'm going to ask you. So basically, if we did CAR, we could put a car lot there, right there.
Absolutely.
And a car lot shouldn't go there.
Yeah, and that's the reasoning. CR is more restricted. There's still a lot of uses that are allowed in the CR zoning district. We're in the process doing the Unified Development Code of going over all of the land uses in all of the zoning districts and making sure that they match what the character of areas is supposed to be. But in my personal and professional opinion, the CAR zoning district as a highway commercial zoning district does not make sense here, but as a land use, storage units do not seem to me to be as big of, as big of a potential nuisance. So the idea would be, and the reason that they applied for CAR is because that is what you have to have in our zoning code for mini storage units. And that said, the problem I believe is in our zoning code, rather in our permitted uses table, rather than in the minutia of whether this is a CR or CAR application.
So I have a question. If the future land use map is for residential, and that's 9 acres, what's the potential loss of homes, future homes?
At 6,000 square feet per lot, plus assume 30% of it in streets and drainage, on 9 acres, you're looking at, I'm trying to do the math in my head. Pardon me for using a calculator here just for a second. 43,560 times 9 times 0.70% because of 30% in streets and drainage divided by.
What are you dividing that by?
By a 6,000 square foot lot would be approximately 45 homes.
And we say that. Now, don't forget, we just got sewer there on the other side. Now, the other development, Jimmy, you all are on lateral lines and whatever else. Is that correct?
That's
Septic
correct.
tanks. Yep. And the other thing is that just depends on if Mr. Cooper wants to sell it to him. We don't know if that's going to be housing or not. And if someone comes up here, really, we could probably get 128 to 140 units of apartments in there if we wanted to. And that would be a better fit, for that area because it wraps around to that area and there's a buffer in between. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we can guess whatever they want to do to it, but the bottom line is Mr. Cooper thinks the best use is to sell it to Jeremy, and Mr. Draper doesn't think the best use is for storage right now. And what we have to do is we have to find the least impact for the law box is what we're trying to do. So I guess my question is, it's a natural fit to it. The document's a living document. We're not too far off base. And in my mind, it protects the neighborhood more because you got units out there and you don't have any kind of tax credit housing or anything else. And that's what, we have areas for that, and I just don't think that'd be the good area. But that's my opinion.
Mayor White, to respond to the question about the number of units, if it were rezoned to the R3 zoning district, which shows slow rather than stop on your chart, it would be allowed to do 193 units on those 9 acres.
Okay, so we
Yeah,
divide it
I mean-
different. I've got a little bit bigger house than you, Dustin. I'm joking with you.
No, that's that's on
I'm
the,
joking. I understand that joking. Okay, all right. So, now let's go back to the lots. So the bottom line is their concerns are lighting and some other situations. And the bottom line is what I suggest is we let Roger and Mr. Sandage, I'd like to table this, let them look at the chart because it's the first time you've ever seen the CR chart. Is that correct, Wendy, Keith? Is that right? Yeah. I mean, I sent the other ones to you, but we didn't send the CR to you. Is that right? Okay. Okay. I didn't know. Okay. I just want to make sure we sent that to you. So we got that, but I mean, honestly, I think this is a good fit. And I think what we need to do is come back and change the ordinance to where, storage units are allowed in CR. And so what that does is, to my mind, it minimizes the impact of what could ever be there in case someone passes away and doesn't happen. And that kind of halfway protects the law box the best we can because we can't put conditions on this. And then on the same thing, it lets Jeremy and Mr. Draper put their storage units up there and do their business and allows to sell the land. Now, that's the best I can do. Does anybody have any other suggestions or some concerns?
I had a couple questions. And just asking, I'd heard that they're going to be open storage for boats and okay, all storage buildings. And security, I mean, do y'all have surveillance cameras or gated and?
Yeah, so at both our facilities that we have right now, they're both gated. Every customer has their individual code, so we can see who's coming out and
Okay.
in and out of there. All the
This is one facility right here, Jeremy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's our one located on Country Club, and the one on Highway 81 that was close to the tornado, we just got brand new security cameras out there.
Perfect.
The tornado walked wrecked, but
Yeah, I wanted him to, but.
we get tags and everything. It's very secure.
Sure.
I think we've combined both facilities, we have about 60 surveillance cameras.
And the bottom line is and that's what all the lighting and everything else, it won't. Jeremy, come on up to the podium if you don't mind.
81 storage is an exception for the lighting, just because we have power poles out there, and they're elevated, but they're still LED lights shining down through the aisles. I mean, they're pretty directional nowadays. You can kind of point those things wherever you want. But then at Country Club, we just light the aisles only. I mean, we don't have big floodlights above the buildings lighting that place up like a car lot or a hotel parking lot or anything like that. So we just provide sufficient lighting for people to drive down the aisles, be able to see their stuff.
And once again, I talked to Greg and I talked to Jeremy, and the bottom line is they're offsetting a little bit from the law box house because they have 3 windows that face that direction, that their grandkids come to, and they have a pool in the back, and they want to make sure that they still have their privacy they have. So they're offsetting that deal and putting the aisles in between. Now once again, they're just showing us that site plan. Once we do straight zoning, I want to make sure we're doing straight zoning. I mean, we don't have a choice to do any of these. I can't put any restrictions on there at all. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. I don't want to mislead anybody or anything else. That's why when you do these situations, I'm trying to find the best solution that protects everybody the best we can.
Well, and the question too is, if this is approved, how is that going to affect the tomorrow and the next one and the next one, in regard to the future land use map that we're trying to utilize?
Once again, we're not varying from what we're talking about. We have to take every one. These are just suggestions. It depends on what pops up. I can't go out there and say we want to have 23 Dillard stores here in town, and we want them right here, here, and here. I mean, business drives that. So when business drives that, they drive prices. Mike has a piece of land, Mr. Cooper has a piece of land for sale. They wanted to buy it, so they bought the land on the contingency of this going through, and that's what they want to do. They're in the mini storage business, so that's the best use for their land. So we have to take each step by step. It's just like Mr. Jensen's land. You're zoned agricultural right now on 81 Highway and I-40. I mean, if Tracy, once we get it, right across the street was agriculture where the hospital was. We changed that. I mean, it has to be a living, breathing document based on development. And that's what we do. And that's why we do this every 20 years to keep us straight. Because don't forget, the last time we did this, the growth was going to be on Country Club Road, not 81 and I-40, or not on Radio Road, which who never, Radio Road wouldn't even thought of.
Who'd ever thought that?
So I mean, I'm not down on you, but I do want to make this clear. That's just a document based on development. All that changes based on what happens. Does that make sense?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a couple of questions. One, where is the Lawbox house at, particularly? Is it that existing house on the map, or
Yes.
Existing house shown right there.
Okay, old Peterman property and stuff right next door?
No, Peterman's on the, Peter.
Is that the south side, or is that the north side?
Now follow hang on, everybody let me, okay, up top, Steve. No, go back. Okay. Up top there, it's that little box, that's their house. And their little barns back behind there. And then that darkened area, that's the privacy area that they're willing to put up for them to, with landscaping.
The shaded area
Yes,
that's
sir.
running horizontal?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then the ones going up and down, that's the facilities. And then below that, south, like you're talking about, that's Peterman. I mean, not Peterman,
Because David Peterman, he
David
still
Peterman
lives
on the
out
other
there.
side of the
house.
Other side of their house. They live south of David Peterman.
Okay.
There's,
Is the top of that map north?
hang on, I'm sorry, Wendy?
A long time ago, it was the Peterman.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, besides Dave Peterman, he knows who Dave Peterman. Dave Peterman lives
Other side.
north of you. I'm sorry, north of the law.
On the other side of that little street in there,
Yes.
or gravel road in
Their
there?
gravel road separates their land and Peterman land. That is correct.
Okay, okay.
And then the farmland that Walker
Yeah,
had the horses out there.
that's where this is going.
That's where that is.
Right. No,
And then
I
right beside
understand- I
that is
understand.
where right beside that's where the old storage is.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. Mr. Peters had a storage
Peters-
and boat storage, all that, because I one time had a boat stored out there.
I had one of the he had little portable buildings.
Where the green barn is, but there was other stuff back behind it.
I rented one of the little portable Kojak buildings that he had back behind there. He had about 32.
But
So-
then he had some other stuff
He did?
that you could get bigger items in.
So bottom line is, it's kind of a natural progression is what we're saying. And then further down is the apartments. I want
Okay.
two more houses.
I'm with you. Okay.
Two more houses down, Keith. Does that sound right? Okay.
Okay.
Somebody can move the table it.
Well, I kind of want to get, not a consensus, but does everybody understand I think this is, so what I'm trying to ask you is, I'd like to make a motion to, bring this back to council as quick as we can, whether it be a special meeting in 2 or 3 days, because we want to get them going. If Roger and Matt can come up there and we can do that without the public hearing, do everything else. Or let's come back to the next meeting that we can, the next regular meeting after the, and present it as a CR zoning and change the, allowance.
The land use table, the table,
The
yeah, use
language-
table, yeah.
The language for where, storages are allowed in CR.
Do you have any public opposition to it?
The only ones we've heard from, well, Dustin,
I'm sorry?
have we had, who else, or did anybody formally oppose anything?
I did not receive a formal protest letter.
Okay.
We communicated, but you guys, we were asking questions and everything, you didn't send me a formal protest.
But
not from anybody else.
But they were upset and they had questions and, anyway. Okay, Wendy, Keith, do you understand kind of?
I just want everybody to understand, no matter what you do, you rezone it to CAR for
And my point to you, and I think I said it 100 times tonight, that's the problem here. We're in the zoning deal. That's why we have this deal. We either do the CR, which was allowed a lot, CAR, which allows a lot more, or the CR, which is more restrictive, or don't do it at all. And that's the three choices you have.
And to ease that concern that they have, this is why we went through the process of getting a site plan done, just to help,
You want to be good
ensure that
neighbors.
that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
That's all we want to do.
You all have two facilities in El Reno and had them for, like I said, the first one was 25 years.
Yeah, and people keep needing them, keep renting them from us, so this is just
Keep
our
on
future
building.
plan. Yeah, I mean, we got to keep expanding.
The other option that I believe Dustin mentioned in our previous meeting, if it was rezoned to CR, they could apply for a rezoning plus a conditional use permit, and the mini storage would require the conditional use permit as is without amending the zoning code.
Correct.
So that would be a route
If
too.
they would have applied for CR at the time that they did that, they would have had to have applied for a conditional use permit at the same time.
But now that we're going back down, it would be, if we're going back down from the deal, it would be easier to.
Yeah.
And that's my
Yeah.
point is, once again, we're still getting we're on the same ship. You're not getting anything different. Except you're getting more restrictions on the CR instead of CAR. And once again, I'm going to reiterate again, Wendy, I'm not disagreeing with you. I've said it 1,000 times tonight. This is straight zoning. We don't have the options of restrictions. It's not our fault. That's the way it is. That's what the codes are. And they've been forthright in getting a plan, trying to be good neighbors. And the law box have been forthright. They would love for it to be open pasture. They know that's ultimately not going to happen. I told them that, and it's not. Mike, you're going to sell that land. That's just all that it's for sale. So, okay. Any other questions? Jeremy, go ahead. Someone say something.
I know that whole property back in there's for sale. They're just proposing to rezone that front portion.
I say, Steve, the only thing he asked for was the 9 acres of the third.
No, I understand.
The other
But are
is
they
stations.
buying the whole property or just the?
We're buying the whole
They're buying the whole thing. They're going to leave it agricultural
Okay.
for right now.
Okay.
Then they'll have to come back up here.
I understand that.
And then once again, it goes back.
Right.
So it falls to CR, so it'll probably go CR at that point in time too.
That'd be similar to how Terry Small did it a few years back. He added on the back portion, which was zoned agricultural too.
After we closed the alley on Terry Small, we had to redo that. Terry Small had the units out on Sunset. And Roger, do you remember that? And we closed the alley between there and the Sunset Bowl and Alfalfa Fedderson's property. And then we did the same thing. And then he bought the whole property and then zoned only a portion of it, then came back and then rezoned it as he growed. And that's the whole bottom line is that, they're in the storage building business, so they can only build so many at one time. When those fill up or get to a certain percentage, you fill the next one. Is that right?
That's exactly
Because
right.
I was wanting to get in there, and then you guys are doing this. I'm trying to own the whole world. All right. Okay, Wendy?
I do have another question.
Yes.
Rezone it and, the accessibility. So we have approximately an acre and a half behind the house that we do have set up with, we play set up for grandkids now, and we do have just a few, livestock. So what kind of fencing would you put back there to guarantee the grandkids' privacy when they're playing?
I'm going to answer that for you because I'm just going to be honest with you. He gave you a site plan basically because we asked him, but until he didn't have to, it would be under our regular code with the setback.
Well, I believe it's required.
It is required, but I was going to have Dustin tell me, what's the requirement, Dustin?
On sides facing existing residential land uses, they will have to put up a fence of at least 5 feet up to 8 feet, and it has to be site-proof. That means it can be like a wood stockade fence, it could be a solid metal panel fence, it just has to be site-proof, and it has to be between 5 feet and 8 feet tall.
Okay, but is that only along the side where the house is, or does it go far back?
For your residential land uses, I would say that would go back to your play area, because that's part of your house and your yard and everything.
But we're zoned agricultural, so does that make a difference?
It's a residential land use rather than a residential zoning. It's put in there particularly for these instances where we're up against homes that are large lots that have been there for a long time, that, you know, it's built to protect people with houses.
Does Cedar House or the other acre and a half running east and west?
Does it go to the end of our property or that side or?
Sure.
It would go out.
It'll go
Without having
down
seen it exactly, it would go back,
past
you know,
their
where
house.
your backyard is, where your back.
to wherever
patio is, where
their
that
area
layer
is, and they'd be offset at that point in time.
But
Where does their property stop at?
those are long, long strips of
See that
property.
little stretch up there, that little
Because
building?
you guys
That's what they
own
call the play
all the way
area.
to the end of
It
this
would go to
property,
that
right?
area.
In
And we
between,
can-
in
we
between
can
the two existing?
There's
We
probably.
can make them probably do that on the
a pretty
permit
remarkable spot, that would be back in this
to
place.
protect
Or
them.
they would probably at least want to be neighborly anyway.
Yeah, they're trying.
There would be a
They're
spot
trying.
there that protects you. Once it's open grass, it's just open grass. Does that make sense?
And another thing, you did move the drive, because that was a concern with Law Box. We moved the drive
All the way to the south.
all the way to the south, away from the
All
house.
the traffic is on the opposite side.
Tracy, you see that right there, Steve? And that was one concession, I think, that, you know, they didn't want the drive right there, and I don't blame them. So they moved the drive all the way down.
That's down where that lease road is.
It'd be right there where that lease road is. And that's quite away from the house, from their house.
It'd be my Miss Peters' house.
Well, no, Miss Peters' house would be on the other side of that barn, right?
Right, no,
Okay,
I'm
all right.
kind of kidding you a little
Don't
bit.
try to trick me. I'm with you. Okay. Does that make, Wendy, do you understand what we're doing? I know you're not, okay. And I really believe, guys, this is the best deal for everybody. I don't know what else. I'm open for suggestions. I mean, Timmy, we've had a hard time with that neighborhood out there. You live out there.
Yep.
That's half the problem.
And it can be worse.
And it could be worse.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so Wendy, Keith, do you understand what we're doing? Well, I'm gonna make a motion yes, I'm gonna make a motion to table it. Here's what I'm gonna do right now.
You're still, you're.
I know,
Move it over to
you're
CR.
right. Any other questions? Okay. Any other comments? I consider this public hearing closed. All right, move on to B, discussion consideration of ordinance number 9250, an ordinance requested by ABC Nutrition LLC to reclassify the zoning district from rural agriculture A1 to automotive commercial recreation CAR at a tract of approximately 9 acres located on the west side of Shepherd Avenue, north-southwest 27th Street, within the southwest quarter, southwest fourth of section 15, township 12, north range 7, west of the Indian Meridian, Canadian County, Oklahoma. I make a motion to table this and give this to Mr. Reinhardt and Mr. Sandage and bring back up another ordinance for us to change the allowance to allow storage units instead of in a CAR classification, to make it in a CR classification. And I'd like to do that the first meeting we can, as quick as we can.
Second.
I got a motion. I got a second. Roll call vote, start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn.
Yeah.
Councilman Rumsfeld.
Yes.
Councilman Ryder. Mayor White.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, let us work on it. I think we're really close to, I think this is the closest we're going to get, guys. I think we can get this deal done. And Roger and Matt don't mess it up. Thank you.
One more down.
Wendy,
Yeah.
thank you.
In
Appreciate you. And Keith, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Mike? Okay, we'll move on to 7. Set public hearing, consider making a grant application. A grant application for recreational trail program, RTP, funding for the purpose of extending the Lake Reno Trail. All right, looky here, guys. Dustin, this, huh?
Open your public.
I open the public hearing. Public hearing's open. Oh, and don't let me forget Bridget next time, Kent. She got here late, now we're forgetting her.
She's enjoying it.
Yeah, I bet she is. Dustin, this grant only comes open once a year. We've been working on it for almost a little over, about a year, a long time.
Significant amount of time.
Yep, so we're ready to apply for this. Basically, this is the continuation of the walking trail at the lake. This is a grant. We don't know for sure if we got it. The application form has to be turned in this month, so we're trying to get this in. It's a once in a year application process. So we have to commit the letter and the matching funds that we have to accomplish. Basically, we have the project at 300 and how much, Dustin?
This will be $300,000 of federal money that we have to match at 80-20 with either cash or in kind. The proposal to get to the stopping point that Jeff Coble, our parks folks, wanted to get to, it's a clean break, a clean stop, is at the fishing pier. To make that happen, it looks like about $60,000 in cash from us and then a substantial in kind to make that total project a little bit over $400,000. This will be the first of probably 2 or 3 applications that we'll try and make in consecutive years to get the rest of the way around the trail. If you guys remember the Route to the Future comprehensive planning, we had significant support. We had 100% of survey respondents said that they would support sidewalk and trail development in El Reno. We had a large number of people that said that a destination trail, a circuit trail that you could use to bike and get all the way around. We talked about it in public health. This project will also include a small open air classroom near the end of the trail where it sits now near the fishing pier. That'll have a small concrete pad and some benches that the library or the school system or Redlands, anybody could use that to help, and we could have functions out there as need be.
Also known as a pavilion.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Dustin.
well, it's not
I wanted to say that so bad.
It's not a
Dustin.
covered pavilion.
It's a pavilion.
It's a classroom.
It's a
Okay.
classroom pavilion, but whatever. Okay.
And that helps us check some. It helps us check some extra boxes.
That's a grant
You better talk to your boy.
Okay.
Get your boy checked, Timmy. All right. Dustin, great job.
Thank you.
I love telling you that. All right. Any other questions? This would be used out of the bond money also if we had that matching funds. So we have that. We have that trails. And a side note, I have last week I took all of the I know it doesn't pertain to this, but it does based on a statement. I took a lot of the signatures to get the sidewalks going on Country Club and Elm Street. So I'm waiting to get those easements back. We got some easements today. I'm working on some more easements tomorrow. And I hand delivered those out. We got a lot of those done. Steve Fox, Roger had him draw up, so we're kind of halfway done. So I want you to know that's not I want to make sure you all are clear. We're still on our path to get sidewalks from Country Club down Elm Street. Does that make sense? So that won't change. Right, Dustin?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I just want to add that Dustin and Jeff Koba worked very hard on putting this together. It's a highly competitive grant, so we might not get it, but at least we have it together, and we can submit this year. We can submit it next year if we don't get it this year.
And I think Jeff and Dustin did a good job. And I know Jeff's really concerned with what's going on with that lake, and I'm real proud of both of Jeff and Koba and Dustin both, because this will be a neat deal to complete this whole thing. All right, any other questions? I consider this public hearing closed. D, discussion consideration possible action authorizing the submission of grant application for Recreation Trail RTP funding for the purpose of extending the Lake El Reno Trail. I got a motion. Second by Robinson. Roll call vote. Start with Ryder.
Yes. Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baldwin?
Yep.
Councilman Benson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Number 8, discussion consideration possible.
Mayor,
How much?
let me interrupt you and make sure that we take the opportunity.
Kent, you're out of order. Mr. Brown, can you escort Mr. Legale out of here?
He set me up, see?
You're no fun, Brown. I'm going to have more fun with you in your next item than you could ever imagine. Bridget, get up here. We are so excited to see Bridget. She's getting started by Facebook fire last night. You know, because we didn't have the hours right. So we've had a lot of issues with COVID. We're so glad to have you. I know the staff and the library board is so excited for you to be on board, and I really believe that you're going to take us to the next level at the library. And we're excited about all your ideas and all the different programs we're going to do once we get all this past us, that we can get done. I know the library's under a lot of pressure right now, and being used and being the staff levels because of all the situations. But tell us a little about yourself and welcome aboard.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying all of that. My name is Bridget Stepler, and I live here in town. My husband's in the Air Force. We love it here. I'm very excited to be at the library. I've worked in public libraries for about 10 years. I'm really involved in the Oklahoma Library Association. I have a master's degree from OU in Library and Information Studies, and I am really committed to partnering up with the community, seeing what great things we can do. Interested in using the outdoor classroom.
Pavilion.
Pavilion. Long trail there. Just happy to be here.
And if y'all didn't notice, she just said OU, but she said, I am. That's Arkansas. That's where she started.
Yeah. I was.
That's why the name is familiar to you. You guys appointed her to the library.
She was appointed to the library board.
She was from the library board.
So now you get to appoint someone else.
But the main thing is that Bridget's excited about having, and we're glad. I mean, so glad to have someone in El Reno that wants to be here, live right down the street from the library.
A couple blocks is a
Okay.
beautiful commute.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Let's give Bridget a round of applause. Thank you. Welcome. Now get to work. Go open the library.
All right. This has been entertaining, but.
Thanks, Bridget.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Now, can I go ahead?
You can go.
Yep.
Number 8, discussion and consider action of an ordinance, the City of Reno, amending the Code of Ordinances, building veneer requirements, amending section 28 of the chapter of the 300, section 361 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Reno, Oklahoma, as amended, declaring the repealing, providing for severability, and declaring an emergency. Basically, this was brought before the last council meeting. We had some questions and discussions to work out. Mr. Robertson and myself met with Mr. Downey, and I want to really thank Timmy. Thank you so much. He brought Mueller, like we talked about, some of the builders, and we had a great conversation, Dustin. I think that's going to help a lot because I think people go off to Mueller, they go buy a building, someone sells a building, they come in here and they want to put it up, Tracy, and now we don't allow it. You know, and everybody gets upset, but we won't do it. So they got a color map of where our zoning stuff is. It'll help them better do that, and that was Timmy and Robbie's idea, and I really appreciate that, and Timmy walking through that process. But the bottom line is, I think we have a better understanding how this ordinance works. It's better for us because of the way it's structured. It's more restrictive than what we currently have, and it'll allow us to do what we need to do in order to protect from just having these metal buildings pop up in older neighborhoods where they're not belong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really good for what it's zoning, for where it fits. So.
Any questions? We tabled it to get more information. We did that. I feel comfortable. So I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
I got a motion by White, second by Robinson. Roll call, start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn.
Yep.
Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilman Ryder. Yes. Mayor White.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Dustin.
Make a motion for declare emergency.
Second.
I got a motion by Ryder, second by Robinson. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Yes. Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn.
Yeah.
Councilman Jacinto.
Yes.
Yes. Number 9, to conduct a public hearing on FY 2019 CBGB grant 117570 CBGB Storms Drainage Project Final Performance Report. I now consider this public hearing open. Millie, come on up here. Let's get this deal going.
Good evening, Mayor White and council members. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you to get this grant closed out. This grant was funded in fiscal year 2019, storm drainage project that occurred in the platted Reno Avenue area. And it had a broken channel, needed substantial rehab. Have done that, cleared out vegetation, put in concrete sidewalls. The grant was funded in the amount of $106,508. The city contributed matching funds a little in excess of $609,000. So this is in an area that has been subject to flooding, and it takes care of a good problem for the city. The area did qualify by meeting the 51% low mod income for this area, and at this point it's completed. We have a certificate of completion from your engineer and Steve Bott, and it's ready to be closed. Since we're in public hearing, we would see if the board has any questions or anything more public.
Any questions? Basically, this is there on Sunset in Reno. It looks great. And Millie, just a side note, since we're in a public hearing discussing, we've already kind of got the appropriation, Mr. Sandage, for our next phase. And we're working, Millie and Mr. Sandage and myself are working through that process right now. And what we're going to try to accomplish is to get that area between the last little stretch, which would be between Pine Street, Ken, is that right? The pond, basically, and Watts. And the reason why everybody says, well, how come you did it in the middle? Well, because there's utilities there. It's very complicated. We're going to have to take more time. I know it's one block, but we had to get rid of this other one to help alleviate it. So now we've completed that channel all the way around. So that'll be on the other side. And then we're also working on a side project, Mr. Sandage, with a dry pond area on the other side of Legion Park to help slow that water down. So we really, the last year, we've been focusing on drainage. And Millie, I've hammered on you. We worked on the sewer lines and the water lines in the Northwest community and different areas, fair additions, everything else over the years, qualification years. But the last couple of years, I really wanted to push for this drainage deal. And the council supported that. And we've done some good. So I want to continue this, go in this direction. And this will really help a lot of people.
This year we'll get a little more money, nearly $200,000.
Yeah, we saw that. We were shocked. Everybody had the same allocation. We were shocked that we allocated more money. We got another $200,000 on top of that.
That'll be to finish out that last block.
Yep. That'll be finish out the last block. And we're starting that process now. Any other questions? Millie, you do a great job for us. I don't care what Matt says about you. I now consider the public hearing closed. Letter B, over number 9, consideration of possible action to approve resolution accepting FY 2019 CBGB grant 1757 CBGB storm grant project to complete and authorize the mayor and let the mayor close out the documents associated.
So moved.
I got a motion. I got a second.
Second.
I got a second by Ryder. You beat him. Ryder, start with you, Jensen.
Yes.
Deputy Bowler.
Yep.
Councilman
Yes.
Yes. Mayor White.
Yes. Number 10, to conduct a public hearing regarding the FY 2021 CBG proposed COVID response project. I now consider this public hearing open.
Once again, the city, in public hearing, we'd like to talk about the Community Development Block Grant, CV. This money at the federal level that came out of the CARES Act onto the Department of Commerce, and they passed it through the CDBG, or Community Development Block Grant Program. At the state level, they determined that this first round of this money, they wanted to pass it through small cities. Small cities, in their book, is anywhere population between 15,000 and 50,000. So in the state of Oklahoma, there are 18 small cities that are eligible to apply for this money. The applications just came out in December. They're due February 1st. They haven't given us very much time to get it together. As with all new programs and CARES Back, and your auditor kind of alluded to this, that they're still waiting on compliance things with this money. But they have given us what guidance they could to this point. What we would propose to do is to apply in 3 areas, just like the city has experienced a turn down economically because of the COVID situation, the industry, those kinds of things. Individuals in the community have as well. So this money
is to try to help those individuals, and it will be individuals that live within the city of El Reno, and we are proposing to divide it up into 3 different categories. We'll have a category that is utility assistance to individuals that will be paid directly to utility companies. We have a section of it that is for rental assistance that would be paid directly to landlords. This money can never be paid directly to a person, but it can be paid on their behalf. The third area is in the area of nutrition. El Reno does have 3 nonprofits that we'd like to partner with to try to help support their systems. A lot of those nonprofits lost money last year. They weren't able to do their regular fundraisers and those types of things. It's made an impact. So you have the situations where nonprofits did not have the money that they normally have for donations, and you have on top of that more citizens with job loss, with time off work if they had the illness, those kinds of things. So you have a bigger population that actually needs the help, and your nonprofits in a situation where they have less money to help them. We are proposing that we make the application in the amount of $1.2 to $1.4 million. This is a living, breathing thing right now. We'll have it fine-tuned exactly at the application time. I did talk with Department of Commerce, to Kellen Dixon, and my questions were, if you can't tell us all of the answers right now, is the application just put in and then it's axed if you don't like something, or are you going to give us a chance to review and work with us and fine-tune it so that it meets the regulations? Hopefully we'll have all of those regulations, and he said that is their intention. So that's what we're proposing. This particular grant does not have a match requirement. If say some of the nonprofits have money that they get on a regular basis, then they would consider that match. But at this point, at the time of the application, we may not know that to be exact. With that, I'll just see if you have questions or any questions from the public.
Well, basically, I want to kind of go the process. I want to really commend City Manager Sandage. Is the one that kind of had this on the radar. We were talking about that, and I think we were looking at different aspects of it. And then we got together as a team, and we even brought Mr. Legali in, and we really feel like we have a pretty good plan, Millie, of what it does. And we're doing some out-of-box thinking, I think. I feel comfortable about it. I think that we are going the right way. We have some great partners that we could partner up with, options maybe that Mr. Sandage, we're going to further down, we're going to let him have the ability to hire those partners in doing that. But we feel like that we really have a shot at this, and why not? Let's just try it. We really are. I'm telling you, I think this could be big, or we could be nothing, but we're going to try it. And we had one aspect of it, it just kind of snowballed, but we have an area, and it goes back to, I do want to go back to the auditor report, because I think it's important. Here alone, we have, outstanding bills of about $140,000 in water use. And we would qualify for that. And that would be money that we could get back. So we have some ideas that we're going to implement and try those to see if they work, to make sure. And all of this will pass the smell test on the application with the CBGB, and that helps us with the insulation of the process. So as we go through that, and Roger, you might have to step in there at some point in time to look at some of this. But right now we feel pretty good with working with the Department of Commerce, and Mr. Sandage, myself, and Millie, and Community Action. We've met together just to try to see if we could, how this would component. And we've met with the Department of Commerce, with Kelton, and he's been real helpful with the information that we have. So we feel good about it, and there's no money out of our pocket, no matching funds. This is just a hope to do these grants. But you know what, guys? These grants, they work good sometimes, so let's try it.
And Millie, there's $8 million, right, that's dedicated to the small cities.
Yep.
And then it's only going to be available to those who apply and get their grant application accepted. So that we're different than the entitlement cities, which Oklahoma City, Midwest City, Norman, and they all got they all got direct payments to their city to administer how they see fit or whatever their program looks like. But what ours is going to be is they're going to divide that 8 million between those qualifying applications. So yeah, not all the cities are going to apply.
How many are,
18?
18.
Yeah, but Tracy, what there is, there's 18 cities that fall in our categories of what we call small cities. Now, I will tell you, I've talked to some cities, and I know Millie worked for some cities. We know a lot of cities that are not going to participate because they're not set up for some of the entities that we came up with. The ideas Mr. Sanich came up with, the ideas Mr. Lagali came up with, the ideas that we came up with, I came up with the nonprofits that we're working through. All these are different ideas that we feel like that might work, that fall into those categories that we're trying to shoot for. So we really feel like we have a pretty good opportunity, Tracy, because that $8 million now, instead of going to 18 cities, could really only qualify to 5 to 8, maybe at max. Now we don't know that.
Four small cities, only 2 of them.
Yeah.
Are going to make application, the other 2.
Well, it is, and the bottom line is we'll take a shot. But the main thing is it'll help us with the cash flows. I mean, it'll help us too with the other, and that's what the whole process is. That's kind of what we're thinking that way. And I do want to touch on what Mr. Sanich said so we don't get confused. These other cities like Oklahoma City, and I don't know their number. I'm just going to make a number up. But, they received maybe $1.65 million for their whole COVID number is what they received. But they administered it that self. A lot of the smaller cities out of the 18 don't have the ability to do that. That's right. So we feel good on it. Millie, did that cover everything?
I believe so.
Any other questions? Any other comments? I now consider this public hearing closed. B, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve Resolution 21-24, a resolution of application and resolution of number 21-025, a resolution on the leveraging funds for the FY 2021 CBGB grant for the proposed COVID response project. I got a motion?
So, I need to interject here. The 25 resolution, we don't need to accept that, right? We don't want you to approve that one. Right, Millie? Okay. So that was an amendment to the agenda. We thought we were going to have to approve that resolution. That's resolution number 21025. However, we're not going to approve that at this time, based on Millie's recommendation.
We don't have to do 24?
We have to do 24, but not 25. There's 2 resolutions.
Oh, I see that. You're saying resolution 24. It says both of mine and mine.
Yeah,
It says,
you've got an amended one on.
I have on my amended agenda, that's what I
It
got.
says the same too.
it's lighted out.
Yeah, it's lighted out, but I mean,
Yeah, we'll just
Just the one.
approve the 21024.
I make a motion, we approve the 21-204.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Roll call start with Ryder.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowman?
Yep.
Sorry, that's
Yes.
a game time decision.
That's okay, that's good. Yeah. I hear I didn't know if that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Motion carries. 11, discussion, consideration, possible action to adopt citizen participation plan, adopt residential anti-displacement plan for FY 2021 CBG proposed COVID response project. Basically, this is housekeeping. This is what we're going to do just in order to get the grant. This is part of the process to do that. Make a motion have a motion by Ryder,
Second.
second by Robinson. Roll call vote start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowman?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Reno? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. 12, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve and read the 2021 Fair Housing Proclamation for the purpose of the FY 2021 CBGB project. Once again, housekeeping part of the process we have to fill the grants out with.
So moved.
I got a motion?
You have to,
Oh, sure I do. I knew you were all going to make me do that. I tried to slide that through. And I got Roger and Millie, the Be Good
I
police.
just want to hear you say CDBG about 10 more times.
that's it right there.
Can't be. Fair Housing Proclamation. Pursuant to the granted, as me, the mayor of El Reno, I do hereby proclaim that the city of El Reno supports and encourages fair housing practices. Further, I decree that the city of El Reno affirms that the following housing concept, practices, and intents embodied by the federal, state, and local laws in this regard to fair housing. The Fair Housing Act prohibits disclaimers in housing because of race or color, national origin, religion, sex, familiar status, sexual orientation, gender identity, handicap, or any other federally declared characteristic. Can't say right. The City of El Reno encourages that each citizen, agency, and lender or real estate business plan housing promotes or activities to implement the provisions of the Fair Housing Act. I thereby proclaim this today, Mayor Matt White. How's that? Now, do we still need to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Ryder, second by Ballhorn. Start with Ryder.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Jennings?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Now, 13, discussion consideration possible action to approve subrogation and assignment of agreement between the City of El Reno and the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. Housekeeping issues, same thing. I make a motion we approve.
Second.
I got a second. Roll call vote. Start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yes.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. Number 14, discussion consideration possible action to authorize city manager to select a firm or firms for administration of the FYI 2021 CBGB grant program. This is to give Mr. Sandage the authority to go out and find the partners that we need.
There's an RFP out there right now for folks to respond. We're looking for one to administer the grant and one to handle the social services application intake side of the program. Yep.
Can't wait to see who they are.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Tracy, what'd you say? What?
Do you want me to repeat that? Yeah. So there's a request for proposals out right now to select a firm for administering the program, the CDBG program, and also for the application intake, the verification of income side of the grant. So it'd be like the social services side of the program. So that's what, yeah, that's out right now. We will be accepting proposals in the next 10 days or so.
And basically, Tracy, we're giving the authority to Mr. Sandage under his ability to hire professional services. Did you make a motion?
Yes.
I second. Roll call vote. Start with Jensen.
Yes.
He said, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. 15, discussion of possible action regarding an irrigation lighting agreement with the Department of ODOT for the 8166 roundabout project. Here we go. Basically, they're starting the process. They're on the process of completion of plans at this point in time. Matt and I have been involved from very conception. We will tell you, I'm really kind of excited for you all to see the big statue out there. It'll be me in bronze, welcoming everybody to El Reno, like this, 66. You'll really enjoy that. No. It's a 66 deal. We'll look at that. But the bottom line is we have to get this process done for the lighting. And the main thing is, on the lighting issue, we're paying for the lights right now at the signalization, so we would have to pay that further on. So we have to sign that commitment that basically, that when the project gets done, that the light bill will be in our name.
And the water bill.
And the water bill, but we're not going to pay the water bill. Motion?
Second.
Roll call, start with Ryder.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Jennings?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes, 16, discussion consideration possible approval ordinance number 9251, ordinance, City of El Reno, Oklahoma, amending the El Reno Code ordinances, Chapter 147, business establishment regulations for the massage therapy practices. Tracy, please be quiet. I'm going to have a hard enough time reading through this now. No, hang on. Repealing any ordinances and partial ordinances that are in conflict, prevailing for severability to declare emergency. Mr. Brown, come on up here. You wanted to put the massage therapy process on the agenda. This is, I'm with you, right? I'm going to have fun with this one. Ken, you're familiar with massage parlors.
Somewhat knowledgeable about just by pure circumstance. Over the last 3 years, El Reno has had two businesses that have had two after their, coming to town, that they were not really a massage parlor business. They were, conducting other illegal and illicit activities. This ordinance basically sets up, and it's pretty much carbon copy from Washington City that we have in place. It sets out some requirements of just any city official, whether it be the police department, the fire marshal's office, code enforcement, things on that aspect of what we expect. They're required massagist. That's the right word.
You're telling us.
That they're actually required by state law to be licensed with the pharmacology board.
Yeah.
So we placed that into place, a yearly permit for the city of Reno, so we identify who the proprietors and stuff are, and also inspection of the state of the
And the bottom line is, Ken, like you said, we've had these problems. We had them when I was acting city manager. We've had to scramble to do it. This will help us give the teeth that you guys need. I think you and Kirk worked real hard on this to get this done. We appreciate your help, because this will help a lot of problems. Yes. Thank you, Ken.
Make a motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve. Second, roll call vote, start with Jensen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Ken, you want emergency?
Make a motion for emergency.
Got a motion. Roll call vote, start with Tracy.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowman?
Yep.
Councilman Jennings?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. All right, we're going to move on to, how much?
17.
17. Discussion, consideration, possible action to approve ordinance number 9252, ordinance, City of El Reno, amending chapter 189 of the Code of City of El Reno, adopting the most recent additions to the fire code pursuant to the regulations of the State of Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Commission, regulating and governing the staff of guarding life, property from fire, explosion hazards, handling the use of conditions hazardous buildings and premises in the City of El Reno, providing for the insurance of permits and collection of all fees, therefore repealing any ordinances or part of the ordinance that are in conflict, and providing for severability and declaring emergency. Mr. Strayhorn, this is your item, is that correct?
Sir.
Well, really, it's kind of our item. Get up here.
Your item. I'm here to explain if you want me to.
Get up here. I want to introduce, if you have not met, Jonathan Strayhorn. This is our fire marshal. Jonathan does a great job. Has really worked real closely. And Matt's really kind of brought Jonathan in on a lot of the construction sites. Worked out great at it. We've solved a lot of problems. Basically, what this is, and Ray, I want you to really, you're going to like this. When the power's gone out at Ashton on the Greens, we've had trouble with this whole thing. And those poor people out there, because they're on the last leg of the Caddo electric line, they're out for hours. And I've had to go out there. Mr. Stringer, Mr. Sand's gone out there with me. You know, they were out for almost 3 weeks one time. And, I'm just sick of it. And I don't want that. Those older residents deserve that. They're cold. I think they ought to be required to have a generator system, backup system when they do this. I think we need to require it because we've seen what this is. Now, we can't do this to Ashton on the Greens right now because they're already grandfathered in.
Well, actually, this actually will go over that.
Okay.
It addresses that.
Okay. Then maybe we might, we're trying to correct it. I didn't know if you got it. I didn't know if you got what we wanted in there like we talked about. So, okay, good. Then we're clear. So, we want to stop that. And I want to put pressure on these people. And I want to stop people taking advantage of our elderly. I mean, it's a money deal. It's not right. And I think our elderly citizens absolutely deserve more. And those poor people out there were so upset this time. And I don't know if you all got calls, but it was terrible. Tracy, I think you got some calls and saw it on Facebook. But we need to get it corrected. So hopefully this will correct that. It'll make them do that. And if they got the money to put the facility in, then they should be able to have enough money to do backup generator to help keep those people at least warm with certain services. I mean, they don't have to do the whole house, but it has to be certain plugs and certain things like that.
Sure. Because they're different than we are. They have requirements that most of us don't have, oxygen.
Absolutely. And they, absolutely, and that was my main concern, and we were running things out there, and we had a lot of runs on the fire side and everything else, because people were very nervous. So I want to get this corrected, and I just think we need to. So, and Jonathan, I really appreciate all your help with this. I mean, I brought this to Jonathan, and he agreed with me, it's not right, and Mr. Sandage backed us up 100%, and I really, I think it's the right thing to do. Any questions? Any comments? I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
I got a second, roll call
You got
vote.
two motions there.
I'll second with, start with Ryder. Thanks, Jonathan, for all your hard work on this.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowler?
Yes.
Councilman Vincent?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes, I make a motion to declare emergency.
Second.
I got a motion and a second, roll call vote, start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowler?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. Number 18, discussion consideration possible action to renew the lease agreement with the El Reno Community Theater and the Center Theater. Well, we decided that we're not going to lease it to these people. They've done a terrible job. We need to get your stuff removed by this afternoon. Chris, come on up for a minute. I think we've got a great partnership. Don't you agree? It couldn't have worked any better, except the COVID hit us and kind of squashed some of our plans we had. I say our plans, you guys' plans of doing some of the things you wanted to do, but you guys have done a great job. I think we're on the right track. I think we have some improvements that are budgeted, that we've discussed, and we're trying to get that to you all to help. They've ran the movie theater. They've done a great job. You got a Tom Petty tribute band. It's going to be pretty cool coming up this week. So we really are really excited to see the future. It's been a great partnership. I don't think you've had any problems, have you? And we haven't had any problems. Great support from both of us, and we feel that way. I think we only made one little change, and that was no big deal to either one of us to the lease.
We had to address the flashback Fridays because we haven't been doing them because they said monthly, so we just changed the language to say as scheduled. Very minor changes.
Two things like that. That was one thing. I think the other one was when the marquee's not being used, I asked, and we both agreed, I wanted to put Welcome to El Reno on there. Just because if it's not being rented out and they're not getting the income, at least it'll be good for us to say Welcome to El Reno and show our sign. But like Kent said, and once again, I think Kent's been great to work with. I mean, you think that, but Brown, you want to help me out with this one? But we couldn't ask for a better partner. I hope you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can you share with us what it costs to rent the marquee?
The marquee is $25 for 24 hours. And the only thing that we don't have any political ads, nothing for sale on there, nothing, anything that could be racist or anything like that.
Detrimental. I think we had to kind of correct that.
Yeah.
We had an issue pop up, and we had to kind of we corrected that, and I think we're covered now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just didn't put it out.
Yeah.
And Kristen, you have Tom Petty tribute coming up this next weekend, and then you have a couple other shows.
Yeah, we've got Tom Petty coming up on Saturday, and then on Thursday, March 4th, we have a comedian, Matt Farrell, and then hopefully the first week of, it's February for Matt Farrell, and the first week of March for maybe William Lee, he's a comedian out of Dallas.
Okay.
We have to come up with $1,000 to be able to have him, but we'll see what we do with this Tom Petty thing. They're actually asking for $800, and after that, they're donating the rest to the theater. So that'll help some of the things we need to do.
Cool. All right.
That's about it that we have now. We have Beauty and the Beast scheduled. We have all of our musicals, but
Yeah.
we have other things we're looking for all the time.
Okay. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
Make a motion we approve.
I got a motion we approve. I got a motion second. Roll call vote. Start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bowler?
Yep.
Councilman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate y'all. Next time we'll put you at the second list instead of the last. I'm sure you enjoyed all the budget stuff. The discussion, 19, Roger, is that right?
Yes.
19, discussion and consideration possible action to award bid for the purchase of excavator as per authority. Bob, do
Authority.
I have a second?
Second.
Second by Robinson. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. 20, discussion consideration possible action to award bid for the purchase of a highway wheeled excavator.
Per authority.
Got per authority by
Second.
Ballhorn,
Second.
second by Jensen. Roll call vote start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. 21, discussion consideration possible action to approve a change order for project number L06 drainage improvements to serve Rogers and Moore Street in the amount of $1,131 to EMC Services and allow chairman and mayor to sign all documents associated thereto.
Second.
Got a motion by Ryder, per authority, second by Ballhorn. Roll call start with Jensen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. Number 22, Marcia, we don't need any more presentations of financials tonight. I do want to hear it. Come on up. Tell them the sales tax.
Well, last month in December it was like 685,000, and this month it was 814,000.
Good. Good.
And we're heading a better way, because those are Christmas and November shopping.
Yeah, and don't forget now, I do want to make sure, that is Christmas in November, so,
Yes.
and don't forget, we had it up cleaned a couple of months ago, then it went back down. But once again, we're being hopeful, we're being pretty good, and we're trying to do different things right now, so we feel pretty good that we can hopefully maintain where we're at right now. Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, Mr. Jensen, do you have anything? Mr. Ballhorn, do you have anything? Mr. Mr. Robinson, do you have anything? Mrs. Ryder, do you have anything? I can't imagine.
I know, but the lake is such a wonderful place. I love the lake, and we all do. But I've had some people asking some questions about, is there a way and what would it take to excavate the silt so it can be deeper? Because there's people who can't get their boats in there because the only place they can stay is right in the center because of the
I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to kind of baloney you a little bit. The bottom line is the lake is a watershed project, and it was based on, I think Ray, it was Elzabula back in those days. It was the 4 Mile Creek project. It's a deal. So basically, the lake itself, Tracy, was built to silt in. That's what it does. We own the lake. We provide that lake. Now we have to go through certain steps of that as far as we get checked on the dam. Mr. Legali, when he was fire chief, we have to burn it off. We've had to, over the years, replace riprap that we've had to do underneath to do that based on the washerway. So it's still checked with the, I'm not going to say it right. It's not SRC. It's
NRCS.
NRCS. I was Nick Owen and that bunch, and Nick Owen and them do all that. We can check, but the problem is that they're really in control of that, and it doesn't have anything to do. We can't touch that watershed. Does that make sense? We're only allowed to only take so much water out of there. I think at a certain period of time.
At one point, they did allow it, but that hasn't been done in a number of years.
But there's still agreement, and it only reaches a certain level because we used to water the golf
There was
course.
a brief period when they opened the golf course that they did utilize that with an agreement with NCRS, but that hasn't been done in 20 years or better, I would say.
No, but I guess my point to you, what I'm trying to tell you is the calculations are based on the lake, and that's what the allowed amount that we can take out of it, that's it. That's what I'm trying to say.
water or to make it deeper.
Water, and the reason why, and I'm just talking about water, we're digressing, but we're talking about the same thing. It's regulated is what I'm trying to say. Everything's regulated, because we talked about one time selling, I really kind of got gung-ho. We had an oil well back there. I wanted to sell a little water to, and they wouldn't let us do it. So
I will go back a few years when Mr. Rivera, as you know, when he came, he's Big Fisherman Lake, and that was a question he had as well. And we looked into it at that time, and there wasn't any assistance in funding that operation, and it is a very, very costly operation to dredge a lake like that, of that size.
see, and I've been around. I had a sand plant one time, and we dredged, over there off of I-40, Timmy, right there by CMI. That was my pit over there. That was our pit Matt White pit we had right there. And dredging is a very slow process and it's very tedious, but on that size level, it'd almost be impossible. So I don't remember, and this is probably before my time, it's probably closer to Roger and Ken Brown's time frame, but they did drain the lake. I think it's probably when you guys were younger. I mean, do you remember when they drained the lake? I mean, I've always heard that. They drained the lake one time to do something, to fix something. I can't remember. It's before all of us were all kind of the same age period. But they drained the lake at that point in time and was talking about doing something, making it bigger, and they never did because of the watershed program. So we can have Mr. Sand check into it, but it's really, it would be very, very expensive. Any other questions? I don't have anything. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.